So let's get the read from Bill McGurn at the Wall Street Journal and Taylor Riggs, co-host of the Big Money Show on Fox Business. Now, Taylor, ladies first, and the fact that you work at Fox Business. President-elect Trump moved quickly with his cabinet. He's gearing up for a series of quick actions, getting his vision to move forward. How long do you think Americans will give him to see change before the mood sours if he doesn't deliver?
You know, I asked that question to Stephen Moore over at the Heritage Foundation and formerly on Trump's sort of economic team. And he thinks that a lot of things can happen day one, particularly with the great pick. And I agree with some of the commentary that you came into this on Scott Bessent. There's a lot of executive orders he can do on day one to help start the drilling machine, right? To start boosting economic growth. A lot of that we're seeing in AI and productivity. So I do think that instead of 100 days, Stephen Moore was saying he needs a 100-hour agenda because he's so laser focused on really delivering for the American people. I think Scott Bessent is certainly a step in the right direction.
Yeah, we'll see if the numbers move that fast. So, Bill, similar question to you. Americans seem to be saying, let's turn the page from the last 4 years. But what's the grace period to see results?
I agree with Taylor. I think it can be very swift. For example, on energy, an important component of the economy, our policies are so backward now. We subsidize electric vehicles that no one wants to buy at market price. We penalize fossil fuels that people need to power their cars, everything. He can move fast just with common sense on energy. And I think that could have an effect. Mostly what I'm encouraged by is the word growth, that tax cuts and so forth. The one area that's kind of discordant note is tariffs, which are not really pro-growth. But if he uses them as what he said, a negotiating tool, okay, we'll see what happens then. But the rest of the agenda is geared to having growth. And we had the growth the last time he was in office. He has to do it again.
Yeah, so Trump's pick for Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent liking a 3x3x3 plan, calling cuts to the deficit to 3%, cutting the deficit to 3% of GDP, using taxes to spur 3% growth, and producing additional 3 million barrels of oil every day in America. So with President-elect Trump reportedly looking at a wide range of energy package to boost production, as Taylor talked about. Taylor, you know, I've talked with a number of people who believe that energy is the key. You reduce the price of oil, thus the price of gas comes down and will almost immediately impact inflation. So do you think these will actually lower prices? Because, you know, inflation and prices can be two different things. What do you think, Taylor?
Yeah, so that's been one of my bigger questions is, can you have deflation without a recession? And a lot of people think that actually you can, right? If you lower oil prices, oil goes into almost everything we think of. Our duct tape, you know, you name it, right? Every product that we have has petroleum-based products. So my big question was, can you get deflation, which is actually a drop in prices, not just disinflation, a slowing rate of growth on prices rising without a recession? And actually a few economists, I think E.J. Antoni over at the Heritage Foundation is one of those, right, who thinks that we can do it. If you start drilling more, it brings down the cost of everything. And I think that's what people are really excited for. I think, you know, you certainly saw a little bit of hint in that in the bond market today. The bond market had a huge sigh of relief today as you're sort of seeing Scott Bessent normalizing sort of what a Treasury Secretary could be and really common sense, as Bill mentioned.
Yeah, and Bill, the House Speaker's office told me that extending the tax cuts will be among the first bills that they will take up. Do you think the other tax proposals will go into that bill, or are they going to tackle this after, you know, in the first 2 years?
I don't know. It's a good sign that he's making a priority the tax cuts. You want to prioritize the growth component because everyone gets bogged down in the rest. I think, look, there are decisions to be made. Donald Trump made a lot of promises on cutting taxes, like, for example, on tips and so forth. And the revenue is not really there to do that all. I think the logic of that points to a flat tax. We're going to lower it for everyone and make it cleaner and simpler. That's the direction I hope they go, rather than gunking up the code with even more provisions.
Well, that might be really tough to get through Congress. You know, maybe the flat tax would work. We've heard it talked about, but that's going to be an uphill battle, don't you think?
Yes, I think it would be a huge battle, but I think it's worth at least raising the question. I think most Americans support it. They're tired of a tax code that's so complicated. I lived in Hong Kong for 10 years. The tax code was a flat tax. You could fill out the tax form in a half an hour, and I think people like that.
We've heard it talked about for years. We'll have to see what happens. Bill, Taylor, I appreciate it. Out of time on this. Great debate.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.